Hi everyone, welcome to So Lovely with Grace. I'm Grace, and today I'm going to be sharing with you a So Lovely tip. This is going to be a series of tips, tricks, techniques that I've learned and want to share with you that you might find useful, that you might already know about regarding sewing, embroidery, bag making, interfacing, notions, fabric, you name it. But I hope it's helpful and useful. And today's tip is mastering the buttonhole. I shared this buttonhole tip in my last video for the Mimi G 8830 shirt dress where I installed 16 buttonholes. And in the comments, it was much requested that I do a demo of making the buttonholes on my machine and explaining the process. So that's what I'm going to do for you today. Now before I do the demo, I want to explain that this tip was given to me. I just learned about it a week ago when I was at the expo from Jim Suzio, the instructor of the class Collars and Cuffs. I highly recommend that class if you do the expo again and if they offer it, of course. That one tip just saved me so much. I can't believe how easy it was for me to make those buttonholes. He shared that the buttonhole on a computerized sewing machine. So there's a mechanical sewing machine and a computerized sewing machine that has a stop and start buttons. So it depends on your machine too that this technique will or will not work. And on the computerized machine, the buttonhole stitch is essentially an embroidery stitch. And if you have an embroidery machine, you know that there is no foot pedal. So the reason he says it's better not to use your foot pedal is because with the foot pedal, when you're pressing down on it, as you know, you're varying the speed. And I notice that too. When I do the buttonholes in the past, I would just press down and the needle would, stitch out, but it's not a consistent speed. You might get uneven stitches. It's just, I don't know, but the way he said it without the foot pedal works so much better. The machine just automatically does it. You're just there to watch it and guide it just like an embroidery machine. So let me demo this for you now. It's very important that you have stabilization in your fabric that you're going to put the buttonhole in, meaning you interfaced it. So what I did with this one, I used shirt tailor and I interfaced it and I folded it twice just like you would when you make a placket on a shirt. So this is properly interfaced because as he said, the buttonhole stitch is like an embroidery machine where in embroidery you use stabilizer, but for garments we use interfacing. And I pulled out my buttonhole foot. You might be familiar with that, if you could see that. And in the buttonhole foot you could see these little red crosshairs. Just like an embroidery hoop has crosshairs, the buttonhole foot has them. What a revelation. I never even thought of that, but I learned that in Jim's class. And I also have this little wooden button that I'm going to use in the demo. I also got a comment from a user saying that you can't use wooden buttons in the wash, so keep that in mind. And in fact, the dress I made had 16 wooden buttons, but I don't intend to wash that in the wash anyways. I'm going to do that by hand. But I just want to give you that information. I'm trying to remember, the person's name was Ortega, but thank you for that tip. So here I have my regular J-foot, I guess it's the J-foot. I'm going to take it off here and I'm going to put the buttonhole foot on now. But first, you need to put the buttonhole in the buttonhole foot. Right here, there's a little slider for size, and I inserted it there, so that'll give the proper buttonhole size regarding your button. And now we're going to slide this on the buttonhole and drop the feed, lift it up, and there you go. I'm going to, also note that if you have markings here, you normally do when you have a shirt, you'll have the base. Oh, this pen, is this going to work? Yes. And then this here, it depends on how tall. The stitching in the machine always starts at the bottom here, not the top. So note that. Of course, you're going to do samples. I always do before I do it on the actual garment, just to see if you're happy with the stitches. Also, when I do my markings, I use this heat erasable pen. So after I stitch out my buttonhole, I just press it with the iron and it disappears. So let's see, we're gonna lift the foot up, match it up with the crosshairs so the base is in the middle, drop the foot, and then behind here, this is a buttonhole lever. We want to bring that all the way down behind this metal bar. I'm zooming in on the crosshairs there so you can see how I have it set. The next thing you need to do is pick your buttonhole stitch. So I have utility, then I'm going to pick the buttonholes here, and there's a whole variety, and they all have different uses. The one I prefer is 410, which is the heirloom buttonhole. We also have this 409, which is a stretch buttonhole for stretch fabrics. 411, a bound buttonhole, never used that. 412, keyhole buttonhole, could be for coats, jackets, thicker garments. There's various ones you can try. 407, narrow squared buttonhole, good for lightweights, but it's all testing. Just get a fabric with interfacing and just stitch them out. I prefer, for the dress I made on this cotton fabric, for 410, so that's the one I'm going to pick for my demo today. Now once I picked my stitch and I have my buttonhole foot on, set up the way I want, I'm going to hit the start stop button, and what happens? There's an error. Why? Because my foot pedal is still attached. So my machine is smart enough to tell me the start stop button does not operate with the foot controller attached. Remove the foot controller. Now at this point, I'm going to hit close. I could stitch out this buttonhole with my foot pedal. It's attached and I could do it the way I used to painfully in the past. But now I'm going to do this tip. So I'm going to go on the side of the machine here and I'm just going to take out the foot pedal. And now the start stop button is green and I'm going to press it and voila, it will stitch out. Oh, so beautiful. So I'm just going to guide it here, just make sure it's on track. And it should just take a few more seconds. And that's it. My buttonhole is complete. Let's look at it. Oops, I forgot to clip my threads. Lift up the foot and it's done. Perfect! I love it! So you can do that too. It's wonderful. At this point, I have to cut the buttonhole out now. What I use is I have this little X-Acto knife. I like to start a little cut here at the bottom, and then I start another cut here at the top, and then I get the scissors, poke it in the hole that I just made, and then I just clip the hole open and it comes out. I just don't want to clip those threads, which, you know, you already have a little hole there, so you'll feel it and you know it's safe to cut. And any excess I trim that out too, so that works out. And I have a little excess here, and I just keep doing that until I'm happy with the end result. And that's it, and that's what I do. Just clean it up, and there's your buttonhole. And there's more threads, so just clean it up. And, oop, one little thread, very picky. There it is, it's done. Now, some people use a little fray check at this point. I haven't found the need to do that, but if you feel comfortable with it, you could put a little fray check there and let it dry. And there's your perfect buttonhole. And the last thing I want to show you is putting the button in the hole. Look at this. Perfect fit. It's wonderful. I absolutely love it. Look at that buttonhole. Nice, even, perfect size. And I didn't even use my foot pedal. And finally, I like to show a make in each video, and I'm wearing a quick sew make from 3691. I'm wearing the yellow top in that view. And I just wanted to say this is a very easy, quick make. You can make this in an afternoon. And if you're interested, let me know and I will do a pattern review on it and a demo. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it was useful and I hope you were so inspired.